saying. What I want to do is stream through it from the beginning with just a direct translation.
Saying what I want to do is
And yay! All right, perfect timing. And Rabbi Joe is here, and let's pull up the holy Zoom room. Shalom Alecha, holy brother Rabbi Yosef, all the way in Baka.
Shalom, shalom.
And Tuvia, you're in the Queen's Lake, right?
I'm always wishing to jump in the lake.
Yeah.
Ah, and the star and all right, so good. We got so
Nachum of Eden.
that's exactly Nachum. How far away is this synagogue where, well, this was read in every single synagogue in London that Shabbat.
Right.
So I guess it was, I'm just thinking of where but you said your uncle was at Machzikei Hadat?
My great grandfather was there. Yeah, he was a member of Machzikei Hadas.
Well, Rav Kook was the rabbi.
And my great grandfather used to collect funds for them.
Excellent.
He used to go door to door.
Excellent. Yeah. Oh, that's very special.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But
All
you
right.
know, I wanted to mention that, you know, I have a friend called Jonathan Emanuel who lives in Jerusalem. He's written a book called Britain Balfour and the Bible. And he's actually saying that I believe that the letters that he was writing was really for the benefit of the Jewish community to awaken them to the fact that we must become Israelized. As far as the government were concerned, they already had their own interests in coming out with the Balfour Declaration. You know, very much so. You know, there were two major reasons. One, they thought that the Jewish lobby in America, most probably, you know, from an anti-Semitic point of view, but they thought the Jewish lobby in America was more powerful than it was. And they thought that if they could please the Jews in America by promising the Jews a homeland in Palestine, that they would persuade Woodrow Wilson to enter the war. Lloyd George was very concerned about getting America to come into the war. And that was a major factor. They also had an idea that they could awaken the consciousness of Russian Jews to support this movement, because most of the European Jews were in Russia at that time. And Lloyd George was a nonconformist member of an American church. And he already, for his Christian reasons, wanted the Jews to go back to Israel. Oh. And Balfour had met Weizmann when he was prime minister in 1903, because Balfour had been prime minister, and Weizmann met him. That was organized by the editor of the Manchester Guardian, which became the Guardian newspaper, which today is anti-Israel. But at that time, C.P. Scott, who was in Manchester, and Balfour had a constituency in Manchester, he managed to arrange when he was prime minister in 1903 that Weizmann could meet Balfour. That's the first meeting he met with Balfour. So Balfour was already on board. And then finally, you heard of the Sykes-Picot Agreement. Mark Sykes was a Catholic who was very Zionistic, and he had met Sokolov around 1900. Sokolov had a law firm, and Sokolov's law firm had worked on the behalf of Sykes. So that you had all of these non-Jewish members of the...
Sokolov had a British law firm?
Yeah, Sokolov had a British law firm around 1900, apparently. I mean, Sokolov was an amazing man. His written output was incredible. I think he did He wrote a history of the Jews.
Can I pick you up?
Wow.
Yeah, and he was also, I think, the editor of a Jewish newspaper that printed in Hebrew in Poland, was it? A Melitza, I think. So for a number of reasons, I'm not sure that Kook and the chief rabbi of Britain was Joseph Hertz, and they were trying to spread the message about the Zionist message to the Jewish public. And I think most of the Jewish public were poor. They were terribly poor. They lived in the East End, which was close to the docks. You know, they'd come from Russia and Poland mostly. But unfortunately, the Jewish establishment, which wrote this letter to the Times, they were the millionaire Jews. They were the assimilated Jews. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's the situation.
Yeah.
And in steps in Rav Kook, and let's return to what he said. I'll just do a quick read from the beginning of the document. And but also the absolute lead up to that was that the question in the parliament and the Jewish parliamentarian and the others were saying that Judaism is a religion, not a nationality, and the connection with the land of Israel is in the past. It's not for the future.
Samuel Montague, his name was originally Montague Samuel, and he changed it to Samuel Montague because it sounded more English, and he formed a bank, and he was a member of Chovevei Zion, but all his children were his eldest son, who became Lord Swathling after him. He'd become Lord Swathling. He died, and his son was called Louis, and Louis became the Lord Swathling you were speaking about, and he formed something called the Anti-Zionist League. His brother was Edwin Samuel, who was the Minister of State for India. He was in the cabinet, and his sister formed the Liberal Synagogue, which is like the Reform Synagogue. So they all became anti-Zionists, his children. So it's amazing how, but the nephew was Herbert Samuel, who was very Zionistic. Herbert Samuel was really pushing for the Balfour Declaration to be pushed. And he became the High Commissioner to Palestine in 1920. He was the first Jewish leader of Israel for 2,000 years. Yeah, and so the cousin was very much against the rest of his family. So there were some Jewish voices in support.
No.
By the way, have you started the recording?
Yes, but my machine shut off. I came back just now, so for the last 30. In every case, let's go into the document and call it up. Share sound, optimize for video. Okay. Now, I think the way I'm going to do it is to just with the mouse and direct it translate it directly into English. And then the last part, maybe we'll return back to the other text, but the part that we didn't read before. But in every case, the instructions the instructions here, it's after the reading of the Torah, just to get the time set when this took place. From the end of this document, the instruction is Achrei Kriyat Torah, this is to be read. And so I'm assuming that's the way they did it. And I guess the president of the shul, or maybe the rabbi of the shul, somebody stood up. They had the paper in front of them. And they read this document, and everybody knew that this, Rav Kook had written it, and now we're reading it. And also, it was in the name of the Committee of the Rabbis. This is the rabbinical statement. Et gzelatenu anachnu. Oh, no, let's start right from the beginning. A public opinion about the national betrayal. We protest publicly against all who would tear the Jewish soul, all who want to break down the wondrous wholeness of the Jews and Judaism. It's only a complete Judaism that we know. And it's a ridiculous, bitter battle, this battle if what we have, our kinyan, that which Israel has, is it national or is it religious? Which one is it? Is it a nation or is it a religion? The wholeness of you are one, your name is one, and who is like you, Israel, one nation in the one land, that can never be divided and separated. We are one religion with the land, and it's all one. It's all one. And with the holy power of the complete Judaism, the Judaism in which is the people of Israel and the land of Israel and the Torah of Israel, we protest against all the betrayers, all who saying empty things of all sorts, and with the holy power, bekoach hakadosh, shel shlemut kol umatenu. This is maybe the punchline in terms of what he's saying. This is it, with the holy power of the wholeness of all of our people, in body and in soul, begufa ubenishmata. We, tovim anachnu, we demand, we claim, this is illegal, we are making a legal claim, et tviotenu, that which we are accusing, tovim et tviotenu ashlemut. We are making this complete claim from all our friends, our brothers, the other Jews, and from all cultured humanity. Mikol ha'enushiyut ha'tarbutit. This is to the world. Et gzelatenu anachnu tovim bashlemut. That which was stolen from us as a gzela, we demand to get completely back. The injustice that is screaming to the heavens has to be fixed completely. Our holy land, our precious land, full of splendor and beauty, the place of our genius, the place of our merit as human beings, the erech adam shelanu, and where we are at our full beings. So we want to be able to have our human rights back in all levels. We went into exile. We lost human rights. We want our human rights. Zchuyotenu ha'ezrachiyut v'halaumiyut bechol ha'artzot. Our rights, our citizen rights and our national rights in all the lands where we are. If I'm a Russian Jew, I have a Russian passport and I have no problem having and I have the same right as every other Russian. If I'm a this Jew, that this is what he's saying, that we, as well as the land, we need human rights, complete freedom of human rights right now, everywhere. You can't keep prejudicing and making it law, which was the policy in so much of the world, or at least where the Jews were. I guess it was best to be in India, but generally, but what a claim, saying, give us back the human rights. We're demanding back the human rights that were taken from us. All of this are holy, precious, beautiful, splendid, wonderful land, and our human rights and our rights as citizens in all the national rights in all the lands where we are have to be returned to us completely, with no compromise and not holding back, completely. Baha et, the time has come that all that Arsu, all who destroyed or whose ancestors participated in the destruction of our nation and our people and our land, are going to have to do tshuva. They'll have to lashuv midakam ayuma. They'll have to no longer do that. And as an act of repair for the awful, awful crimes that they've done, they have to give us, to make it make it completely possible and as easy as possible at kol nechuyot, everything that makes it possible, kedei lashuv velibnot et Beit Yaakov haneheras, so that we can return and we can build the destroyed house of Jacob. Velechonen b'melo ha'hadar et nevehu ashomem, and we can establish to its full splendor its greatness, which has become desolate. We can bring out of its desolation. And what is very surprising, that in this wondrous time where this is what's happening, where the hand of God is showing itself in such a wondrous manner in the events of history and in the events of the lives of our people, our we find people that are so stupid, ba'alei muchot metumtamim, timtum, it's some metumtamim, and whose hearts are so uncircumcised that they have the audacity to say chutzpah, to say things in order to break down the wholeness of the connection between the people of Israel and the land of Israel, and to try to disperse this shleimut, when the knowledge of it in the entire world is so necessary for our historical stance, our historical status. We are obligated and we must clarify to all of humankind that is right now fighting World War I, halochemet, their obligations to us. This is a debt, their debts to us. We gave a lot, so much to humankind. We brought ethics, human ethics. We gave ethics the power of life and provided the essence of all the cultured religion, and gave them rechushenu haruchani. We gave them from our spiritual wealth and treasures. You took, the book of Psalms. The Bible became for everybody. When the King James Bible came forth, it did everything that it did, and with that, we saved lives. We gave people, and whatever happened. Umatzilim, and we continue to lahatzil all of humankind from, on one side, this dark, enslaved idolatry, all these false ideas of God. And that's why Rav Kook wrote the first series of books he wrote in 1905 for his father. There's like Kirvat Elohim, Dat Elohim. He wrote a series of 4 or 5 essays about knowledge of God, because he said that the religious people don't understand what God is. It's the most misunderstood thing in religion, and we need to have a clear, and that's the teaching of Israel, is a real understanding of that. But even we need to have a good. So he wrote a series of essays about Kirbat Elohim, and they're very important to learn. I want to return to them soon. So he said that we have these weird ideas of God, distorted ideas of God, and we think we're in harmony with God. And on the other hand, we just forget about the divinity at all. Just the divine as a force. It becomes really weak, and it's just not there. And meanwhile, what's happening in our days is wondrous. It's Elohim legamre. Elohim is really acting. These are Elohistic days. Heinam, they are these days, and these days will be the basis for the purest human spirit, שהרוח האנושי היותר טהור, שכל העדינות האנושיות מתוכה היא מתפתחת. He's still listing the contribution of Israel to the world. And he says, and it's going to come to, we're going to, now that we're back in Israel, it's even going to we're going to be the establishment, the basis for the Ruach Enoshi Ayoter Torah, sort of a pure, to provide the basis of purity and a clear understanding of divine, that from that we can develop. We are the healthy basis, and we'll be providing that to the world even more in the future. And now he's going back to the things. And given that we've done this and that we're going to do this, the nation certainly gave us back very nicely. They stole our land. They exiled us from it. They burnt its holy place and destroyed the temple, and with slaughtering and with cruelty. And then in the flames of the Auto da Fe, that was in Spain, right? They burnt people. They put people in a building and they burnt them. Betaleim tzehuvim, with yellow. What's yellow? What is the? Is this the Nazism? Yellow banners or something. Talaim. was that already what the Nazis were making us do? Because the next is with crying hip 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 in the streets, and that I think the Nazis did. Hip hip was
No, they're soccer fans.
That was the Germans a century earlier. There was the Hep Hep movement was the early 1800s. And
so what is
German nationalism?
Soccer
okay?
ball.
So what is the reference Talaim Tzehuvim? What was a yellow something or other force that was part of the anti-Semitism? And now he says, by putting nails in our heads, in our brains, who did that? The Spanish? And all sorts of other many good things like this, and all sorts of false claims and inhuman accusations, which, oh yeah, that we raped and, you know, like all that. At the same time, that whatever spirit is within them, and that their ruach is drawing from the our living holy wellspring, Ma'ayan HaChaim Achai ve'Akadosh Shalanu. While they're still drawing their life force from the Ma'ayan HaChaim that the children of Abraham and Sarah have been tapped into. And they are benefiting completely, fully, from our wondrous activities. And so now he starts to make the claim. So now that we are standing, as appears at the end of the war, after the horrible evil of this nation, of the nations destroyed everything good and everything peaceful. At the time when the entire planet, when the whole planet is shaken and trembling, disturbed in its heavy sinfulness, at the time when theories, ideologies, ideas, national ideas, and kingly seats, kings are dropping, the monarchies are ending. That all is exploding. All our ideas are exploding. We thought, oh, this and that, and just all the theories are exploding, and all the seats of power, kings are everything is breaking down. And at the time when humankind is hoping for, wants to bring Yeshua, wants to bring eternal Yeshua, fixing forever, to get us out of this bloody, horrible, bloody war. At the time when the horrible, cruel sufferings and pains of humankind have awakened Nitzotz Kadosh, a little holy spark in our hearts. And we are now dreaming of a future after the war where we will bring all of life, Chaim Chadashim, to a new life, Harbe yoter yafim ma'asher hayu mikodem, that are much nicer than what we had before. Chaim shel yosher v'tzedek, integrity and justice and righteousness. Bichlal, Chaim Chadashim, just generally, universally, new life. הרבה יותר יפים מאשר היו מקודם. The word for, I went back, life of integrity and tzedek, that in the appearance of these wondrous new life, it'll make worthwhile in some way the rivers of blood that was spilled in order for this for us to reach this state where we'll say, no, we can't continue being so bloody anymore. We have to reach that point. So is it not, if this is the time that now the human race is at this moment, and history is at this moment, is it not upon us in this sha'ah, this moment that is nora'ah, awesome, nifla'ah, wondrous, kedosha, holy? It is a great and awesome obligation for us, Israel, to announce lehodia lechol haenoshut, to announce to all humankind, and especially the nations, the cultured nations who are battling, the guys on the good side, the Americans, the British, the British, that if this injustice that has been done to the people of Israel will remain, and as it was, as the world is changing, if this injustice remains as it was, if lo yitrachatzu מהרצח, מהגזל שעוללו לנו, if they don't cleanse themselves from the murder and the theft that they put us through, that they put upon us, הם עושים את עצמם אומללים, they are making themselves more cursed, more in an awful situation, עוד יותר ממה שהם ממיתים אסונות עלינו. Even more than anything that they put us through, any tragedies that they put upon us. They're going to be in a worse situation than we were ever in. Because הם מעמידים אז בסכנה את כל תיקון העולם. They are then endangering the entire tikkun ha'olam, the possibility of fixing the world that is so desired now because we've been in such a murderous state. And if you don't do something about the injustice to Israel, then you will be making it such that all the spilling of the blood and the crude murderousness that has gone through will have result in no changes. It doesn't bring any change. Well, tza'akat chamasenu, the scream of our Hamas, the word Hamas, the scream of our, it's a type of anger, it's a type of, well, it's also the injustice, it's a scream of the injustice. Ha'oleh shamaima, that will go up into the heavens, will have to negate all the human aspirations for good and to turn their lives into the absolutely worst state. That's what he's saying here. Tza'akat chasamatenu, our scream, ha'oleh shamayma, going into the heavens, muchacha levatel et kol ha'she'ifot ha'enoshiot. It's all human aspirations and ideals are going to be ignored. And memela, almost automatically, lecholel b'chayim, to put into their lives the hamapachot hayoter ra'ot, the worst possible revolutions, turnovers, breakdowns. However, לעומת זה, כאשר, if the results of this war will bring, together with all tikkunei tzedek, with fixing the righteousness, doing this tzedek, and it will also bring et shuvenu vehitkonenantanu anu. It'll restore us. It'll bring our return to the land of Israel and to our establishment. And when the nations will fix the horrible crime that they've been committing and will help us lehistader b'melo chayenu, to organize in all of our life, veyashivu lanu et artzenu, and give us back our eretz, vayitnu, and you veyisayu lanu lechonen et malchutenu, and that you will help us to establish our malchut, our jurisdiction, our nation, our state. Malchut is our own, I mean, it's not literally kingship, but it's our own, we don't have a melech, but our own, but Medinat Israel. Ve'yitnu lanu lechadesh, and they will allow us to renew, ulahafriach, and to sprout, to bring out, to be, and to flower, and that the Israelites, the Jews will return to Israel and flower, and that they will enable us, or just yitnu lanu, they won't bother us so we can do this. They'll let us lechadesh, lahafriach b'shalva, to renew and flower in tranquility, not like throwing wars at us all the time. Et chayenu atikim, our ancient life, to renew our ancient life. Hamekoriim, that are sourced in the foundation of, God, Torah, and the whole thing. Hashlevim, our calm lives, that we can live calmly, not at war. Chaye hakodesh ve'achol, and we're able to live our holy life and our everyday life. Chaye haruach ve'chomer, our life of spirit and matter, that you don't make laws against us and doing business against us and not allowing our religion. In all these areas, we're given complete freedom. Chaye hagvura ve'shalom, our life where we can be strong and in peace. If you who have done this to Israel now do tshuva and enable, support, understand this process of the rebirth of Israel and participate in it to the best of your ability, and certainly not be an obstacle to it, as and only then, tasur cherpat ha'olam mi'achevra ha'enoshit. only then will there be removed the human shame from from human society, from the planetary human society. What the nations of the world have done to Israel and all the injustice and every single level, until that is completely restored, and only when that is completely restored, then this Cherpat Olam will be removed. This shame, this human awfulness will be removed from humankind, and we will all thrive. But if they don't do that, then all מוכרחה לבטל את כל השאיפות האנושיות. All the good projects, all the good aspirations that human beings want will automatically negate it. They won't happen. And they're going to turn their lives into the most awful, awful experience. But if you do help Israel, then that guilt can be removed, and we can remove that from history. Okay, וכאשר במקהלת המדיניות העולמים, and when in the choir, the national planetary makela is choir, but it's in the community. Yishma, kolo shel Yaakov, will be heard, the call, the voice of Jacob, betzlilav hani'imim vashmimim, with its pleasant and heavenly notes. He's using a musical metaphor. Be'amito, in its truth, ubeyoshro, and in its integrity and fully. Hanovim, that are coming. The voice of Jacob in these good tzlilim, good notes of all sorts, that are coming because they're in the Mekorot HaYoter Kdoshim. It's coming from the holiest sources. Once the voice of Jacob that is coming from the source of holiness can be heard in the choir, the human choir, in its full truth and its full yosher, ach az yakira olam, then, only then will the world recognize, yachad itanu, together with us, mahutam shel chayei amim yesharim. What it means to be living a life as a nation that is yashar, that you're not at war, that your people treat each other fairly, with integrity. It's Derech Israel is the Derech HaYashar. And it's at that point that all the nations will come to experience Chaye Amim Yesharim, what it means to live Derech HaYashar. And we're to be the models for it. That's what the Torah is all about. Ach az, only then, tavo le'adam, will come to all of humankind, svi'at haratzon hagmura, some sort of completion, betor pri tzarotea, as some sort of fruit that can emerge from this milchama hanora'ah azot, from this horrible, horrible war. All these deaths. But what happened? We took another war. This is the end of World War I. And, we're still not there, but Israel, thank God. And it's only then, once we're able to collectively live everybody in the planet, derech hayashar, at peace without war, then we can say, all right, this war, if the war made it possible for us to reach this space in our human development, all right, so that's what it took. Thank God we're here. But if that doesn't happen in the planet Earth soon, then we're just going to enter into greater destruction. And so mitzidenu, from our side, hinenu yecholim lekabel et osher atid rak b'shlemutenu. I guess mitzidenu, he's speaking as an Israelite. We can only bring us into the state that we can experience this future happiness only in our wholeness, in being shalem, which is shlemuta shel nishmatenu hamekorit, having the wholeness of our essential core soul, our being, she'ena nitznanet b'shum ofen, that is not possible in any way whatsoever, lechalek, lenetachim, to cut it into pieces, kmo leumiyut, vedatiyut, as nationality, religion. Na'alem mikol halakim ha'ela. We are elevated beyond all of these divisions, definitions. Ha'oz ha'elohi ha'gadol shel Israel Saba. This is the higher than all of this is the great divine power of Israel Saba. We'd have to look up what Israel Saba means in that, but it's the grandfather Israel Ha'atik, who is ancient, Hanitzchi, who is strong, eternal, Hachazak, who is strong, Kechalamish Tzur, like a basalt stone. I think it's some sort of stone. Well, that's strong. And yeah, Baruch Hashem. Tzarot halev shel ele harotzim leforer lechalokim et shlemutenu. These troubled-hearted ones who want to divide our wholeness into different parts, and they want to divide et shlemuto shel koach chayenu amashir, to not allow the full expression of our illuminated power of life, and to take from it chelekena v'chelekena. We'll just take this out of it, or this part out of it. Doing that, begidahi, it's a betrayal. Now he brings it to when he said this is ala begida. Now he's defining what is the betrayal. Begidahi lo rak liYehudim. It's not a betrayal only to the Jews, ki im lekol ha'enoshiyut, but to all of humankind. Omnam tikvatenu gdola, and so our hope is great. Ki Tzidkatenu hakdosha, that our holy tzedek, righteousness, justice, everything tzedek, tukar heitev mikol adam, will be recognized well in all of humanity. B'nei Brit, those that are in the covenant, v'she'enam b'nei Brit, those that aren't in the covenant. V'chalomot hahevel shel afradat kochotenu, and these empty dreams to try to divide our powers will disappear forever. Are you a nation? Are you this? And the power of our wholeness will begin to support us and encourage us with its full ometz, with its full strength. Vekulanu yachad, and all of us together, kol nitchei Yisrael, the molo amuvan, all the banished of Israel and all the meanings of it, nitba befoal ubo'oz et vi'atenu hashlema. We will demand in action and strongly our complete claim on planet Earth, vekolenu yishma bekol achogim, and our voice will be heard in all the areas, lekvodam uleoshram shel kol ha'amim, which will bring honor and happiness to all the nations that help us and participate. Veleilu'ei and for our elevation and for our happiness, that as they will enable the quick rebuilding of our holy land, and then Amenu verochenu HaKodosh v'Hanisa, and also the establishment of our nation, our spirit, our holy, exalted spirit, they'll allow us to recreate the spirit of Israel. Then ha'omed liot le'or legoim, that is ready, preparing to be a real light to the nations, ve'leyeshuat afsei aretz, and to bring the Yeshua to all the empty places of the earth. Period. The last line is instructions. We ask, Mevakshim et Roshei HaKehilot, we ask from the head of the communities, the Hagabayim, and from the Gabbais, Lesayea, to help, Shegilui Hadat Hazeh, that this public opinion, Yikra Bekahal Bebatei Knesiot B'Shabbat Kodesh Parshat Ba'alotecha, it'll be read publicly in the synagogues on Shabbat Ba'alotecha, Acharei Kriyat Torah, after the reading of the Torah. And it was. And history moved the Geula moved one step further, because that Saturday night, the Balfour Committee was besieged by messages and letters from all the people of all the synagogues. And then Rav Kook, the next week, also initiated a campaign, and he wrote another letter that was read the next Shabbat in this theme. And it's not in this collection, but we're going to learn it tomorrow, because we're seeing here Rav Kook stepping into history and moving things along, and also this is really the strongest call of any Jew to the world.
It's so valid for today, to the religious, to the so-called Chiloni, and to the nations.
Yeah. Yes. So with our learning and yearning, may Tzva Haganah Israel be victorious in everything that they do. May we bring back Ron Jvili and everything that we need back, and heal all the wounded, and comfort all the mourners, and elevate all the holy, holy souls, and so that it's been such a painful war, and that's what Rav Kook is saying. The only response to a painful war is to fix the world completely so that there is no more painful war. And we know that better than anybody. Though we are now in the role of the agents of justice to ensure that the bad people are picking on us so that we can undo the injustice that they were doing to everybody. the Iranian people, and imagine what, etc. And that's so. So thank you very much. I can't stay much today because of something.
Thank
but
you.
I appreciate the opportunity to really get to know these documents, and they're extraordinarily timely.
Right.
Fair.
But Rabbi Joe, are we going to win the war?
Well, we have to start the war first. Somebody has to start the war. And there's a lot of misinformation being kicked around. So stay tuned.
Misinformation about what? Yeah, I'm just going to keep the door open here so I can
About to strike or not to strike, when to strike and how to strike, who to strike and how to strike. There's a lot of questions that have been bandied around, but for the point of misinformation, just to confuse everyone enough, and then they will have the advantage of a surprise. So we really don't know what's happening.
But that is actually likely to happen?
Is it likely to happen? Very much so. I mean, you wouldn't have all these athletes, navigating to the area unless they meant to do something with it. He's shown himself to be a man of his word.
I don't understand. Do you understand the peace coalition that Trump's trying to?
Yeah, I just heard the border peace. You see, this is very, very clever. He brought in the idea of the border peace ostensibly to oversee the future of Gaza. But really what he's done is something completely different. This border peace, I just read it, is a US-led intergovernmental organization that is nominally purposed to promote stability, restore dependable and lawful governance, and secure enduring peace in areas, this is anywhere in the world, affected or threatened by conflict. And what he did was he managed to get the United Nations to almost vote to put themselves out of business, because in the 17th of November, the UN Security Council passed a resolution 2803, that welcomed the establishment of the border peace. So it's a UN blessed organization now, with Donald Trump as the chairman of the board. And interestingly, the members of the board, there are 8 members of the board, and 3 of them are Jewish. Mark Rubio, Steve Witkoff, and a billionaire called Mark Rowan, who runs Apollo Global Management. And then he's got their president of the World Bank, a guy called Robert Gabriel, who is the American political advisor, Tony Blair, Oive, and Marco Rubio, and a guy called Nikolai Mladenov, who is the High Representative for Gaza. So there's 3 Jews on the board of 8. But this is for global peace. This is the idea that Trump is going to oversee global peace.
I hope he succeeds.
Yeah, amen.
Talk about chutzpah, the equivalent of the machine.
Yeah.
Amazing how he's manipulated.
We are all for it.
Amazing.
And actually, Marco Rubio is a very interesting character. A lot of people see him as possibly the next president.
I vote for him.